Welcome to Collecting Consciousness, where we aim to capture the ever-expanding and evolving conscious creations that originate from the minds of fellow podcasters, strangers, dear friends, and loved ones.
In this podcast, we will expand on our inner wisdom and a coming home to self. From our conscious minds to yours, we welcome you to the Collecting Consciousness.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Collecting Consciousness with Bethany and Courtney. And this episode is a little bit unique because it is just a real raw conversation with Courtney and I. And we had record button hit, so no breathwork or prayer was done in this episode. But we do hope that you find some deep nuggets of wisdom in this real and raw conversation. Thank you for listening. Enjoy.
But this is interesting because this will go into the loneliness. I would not change my journey. I would not change showing up and doing the things because this is what feels good in my soul. This is what feels right for me. I enjoy the learning. I enjoy the growth. I enjoy the evolution. What I just am curious is, what is this lesson of me being alone? What is this lesson? Like, I have been alone my entire life, like straight up, like I really have.
Even with Liam, you feel like? Even with
not with Liam, but then at times when I, maybe when I was masking, not letting my full self out, there's loneliness there because you're not being true to yourself. So like, my dive into searching within I think it started in 2017, but it really catapulted 2020 beyond. So the loneliness also of people not understanding, like I am definitely at a different wavelength than most people in my circles. People look at me and they're like, oh, fucking Courtney, she's like doing her thing. And I love how I show up. I do. Mm-hmm. But there is still that part of me that misunderstood is being misunderstood can still feel lonely because I see people so fucking deeply, and I like, sometimes I see people and they don't even tell me. I'm just like, I can see them. Mm-hmm. And I look forward to when I have somebody that is seeing me on that level, on that scope. Again, Liam saw me. Liam saw me. He still sees me. Like, me and Liam are still really good buds and stuff. Liam is one of the people. He's like the one that knows me best. Liam knows me best. And Liam sees all parts of me. And I just think that not everybody gets me, and that's totally okay to not be got. It's just lonely sometimes when you're not understood. And I just have to be like, okay, they don't get me. So I'm just like, all right, I'm going to just keep doing my thing. I'm going to keep being myself. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to be like, you don't have to explain yourself, just be yourself. And, I had somebody at this wedding be like, Court, you don't give a fuck what people think. And it's like, you just be you. And I'm like, you're just you. And I'm like, yeah, I am just me. I definitely am just me. There was a time in my life where I really struggled with caring what people thought about me. Now I don't, but it's lonely. It can be lonely. But maybe we should create some structure to this little...
No, I love it actually, because it's actually exactly what I envisioned, was just like holding space. We just like...
Right. Yeah.
Not sure where I'm going to edit it, but like, for anybody that's like joining, like we're feeling the feels today. Like we're just like feeling it. We started feeling the feels, and then we're just like going to hold space for all the feelings that are coming through. And that's just what today is going to be. Cause I think that's so
beautiful because that's kind of how I envisioned like yesterday when
Yeah, you did say that.
I was like, I'm just gonna hold
you called
space
it
tomorrow.
you called it. You called it.
Like, yeah, I totally was
Clear
like
cognizance. Clear
'cause
cognizance.
yeah, I was really walking, thinking about it. What do I have to offer? What do I just think about, share? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna hold space. Like I'm just gonna
Well,
just hold the space. So that's cool. It's kind of like organically happening like that, you know. Anyway,
yeah.
so yeah. So I want to just like rewind real quick.
Yeah. Go
So like,
bookmark.
yeah, rewind it and bookmark. Going back to like the chores, like the day to day in and outs. Like that's. I think there was like many layers to like what you
Mhm.
just described as like feeling lonely, and then I just want to like give back to you like nothing to I don't want anything to be like belittling to how you feel and like what you experience, but just interesting or just like I just want to like offer
Perspective.
how I feel sometimes too in my situation, even though I have a partner. So it's like I guess I'm like this like opposing like situation that has I have a partner. I've had a partner for 50 oh God, like well, no, I say by my side for 14 years, like me and Jonah's relationship. Like I've had somebody by my side. And what's interesting, and when we talk about the chores and like the household duties, and like I do them all. Like when people come and when people go, like I am cleaning, I do the laundry every week. Like there may be once every 3 months or like 6 months, 2 times a year that Jonah does his laundry that he thinks, oh, I need to wash pants today. I'm going to put them in. And then actually he probably won't even finish the load because he'll be like, forget about it. And I'll be like, yeah, we can't leave those in the laundry and the fucking wash. So I'll finish the load, So it's like, there's like, I definitely run the household in that way. Like that pressure's on me. Now I've created a climate where I love to cook and I love to like do that for us. So like, it'll be interesting. People listening don't know, but we live in our little tiny cabin with like this little, RV cook stove. And like, I know where everything is in the cabin. I function well in that space. Like Jonah says that he doesn't. So that's why his like roadblock to cooking has happened. So it'll be interesting to see when we get in a big house, if that changes, if he steps in and actually starts cooking, right? Like, that's what I'm just curious about. I'm like, okay, is it going to be the kitchen or is it going to be just that you don't cook? And that's just that.
Right.
Which,
seeing what the actions, if the actions line with the words.
Yes. Which only time will tell. But so I guess I feel you on that. I feel you on the pressure of it's just you doing it. Like, and I guess like, even more frustrating for me sometimes is like, I'm doing it for 2 and soon to be maybe 3 or 4 or whatever,
right.
And so, yeah, sometimes it's a little.
But I think in the sense, so like what I mean by, I'm doing all these things, Jonah's outside. He's doing things that are working for cohabitating on your own parts for the 2 of you. So it's not that like, what I really appreciated with Jonah when he came last year, he took out my garbage. And like he saw that my garbage, there was a lot of people at the house. He saw that my garbage needed to be taken out. And I was so fucking appreciative because like I do all those things. I do the garbage. I do the fucking kitty litter. I do clean, and I'm a clean I like to clean. I like to do these things. But I'm just saying that like as a scope, sometimes that loneliness is that you're keeping shop for everything. I can't not just let that garbage sit there.
Yeah, right.
So I think, and I hear you in the sense that like you are the cleaner. I know that. Listen, that's why me and Jonah got in a fight last year.
Yeah. Now he cleans the toilet after every.
Listen, I've said to him many a times. I said, "What a hard lesson that was, wasn't it, dude? Hard fucking lesson. Yeah, fucking clean your shit off of this toilet." Just kidding.
Our toilet's never been so clean. I'm telling you, every time.
I'm telling you, it was a lesson that was had to be learned. Coming from your baby sister.
Because if I never called them out, nobody would have owned up to the
tears streaming down my face. I'm overwhelmed. overwhelmed. Yes. Anyways, but no, I think, again, like I am very that like this is and talked about, what did you say? The rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
Is that
Yep.
okay? It's interesting because it's like I can see the difference. I can see, so I often, it's like, for me, I try not to get in victim mentality. I'm like, I know I can do anything. Like I really can. And I am doing things and I'm proud of what I'm doing and I'm proud of where I'm going. But it's just interesting because it's like, let's just say, okay, so when I started to feel lonely earlier this past summer, when I was really like aware that I was feeling lonely, I was like, I'm lonely. I know there's a lesson. So I'm going to sit with it all, but I know there's a lesson. So it's like that, the rubber meets the road. It's like, I know that everything is going to be okay, but I'm still going to allow myself to sit in these things, sit in the frustration, sit in the anger, sit in the sadness, sit in the grief, whatever. Cause it's like, I don't want to push it down, bypass it. Oh, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I do know it's going to be okay. And what I like to tell my friend, is that maybe we're not where we want to be, but we're going there. By all the steps that we're fucking doing, it's leading up to the big picture. But rewinding, so it's like back to that rubber meets the road. It's like, I can see two truths at once. I know it's okay. I know I can get through things, but hey, I am feeling frustrated because I do the damn thing all the time. It has to be done. These things can't not be done. So it's like, it's that tipsy-turvy teapot that's just kind of like, okay, yeah, I can see this scope, but I can also see this scope too. So it's kind of an interesting thing because it's like, it's interesting because when you can see the difference, but you're still going through the feels of it.
Yeah.
You can, it's like, again, all I can really say is like, I know it's okay. I'm even in the shit, I know it's okay.
And I think what it is and what it boils down to is we're human. Like,
yeah.
As much as we want to like live in this realm of like, this is a lesson and this is for my highest good and this is going to work out, to benefit me in the highest way. I just have to be patient. Like all that we can say all that all day. Like we said earlier, we could go for walks. We could like shift the energy. Like, you could have a fucking massive toolkit that you're using to like move through these parts of your life. But like at the end of the day, we're still fucking human. We're still here in this existence. Like, and that is a heavy, big thing. It's like fucking big because like, it'd be one thing if we lived like in the mountains in a retreat center and like maybe, you know what I mean? Like, and we just meditated all day and we didn't have to like cook or clean.
Sounds
or
fun.
sounds
Sounds really fun. I'm like, can I make that dream come true?
You totally can go be
100%. 100%. I know. I'm like, I want this retreat space.
You could go be a monk and but that comes with a lot of other sacrifices in this lifetime too. Like that you have to realize like it means, okay, you don't experience like sexuality, you don't experience like
I'm not saying I would be a monk. I would just saying I'm just gonna go up and have a retreat space up in the mountains somewhere. You guys come to me.
Well, then
that's cool. That's what I'm seeing.
We'll bring your meals and your
bring me my Wicked Joe coffee, the French toast, Wicked French.
Mini dream here. I love that though, and that there is many paths. No,
100%.
I guess.
Yeah.
We won't go down that tangent.
But we can't, the point of that tangent is like that there are so many options. There are so many choices. Yes, we do have the human experience. And when we choose to do this path, well, you're not doing that path. Mm-hmm. So it's just like really kind of sitting in your own energy and being like, so if me doing all the damn things was feeling like too much pressure, then I would need to shift that because then that's showing me that that's not what I need to be doing in life. But when you ask me that question, no, this feels good in me. This feels good in me. It's so let me just like rewind it to the fact that I would say my loneliness truly comes from there's still a part of me that's a little sad that people don't get me, that, you know, that I am misunderstood, and that, you know, like I said, when I see things deeply, you know, this layers into being a highly sensitive person. We're a small percentage of the world. So like, people still tell me to this day, you're too sensitive. You know, if I try to raise a concern or a boundary, I have been met with resistance where people are like, you're too sensitive. And I'm like, that's annoying. That's frustrating. That misunderstanding of like, I think you're a little insensitive, to be honest. If I'm being honest with myself, I think at times the world is a little insensitive. And I think it would be a kinder place if you did hold space for people, their feelings, their thoughts, their emotions, blah, 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 blah. So I think for me, you know, when I was like reflecting back in the summer, there's still a part of me that is like wanting to be like to see me. Like when someone sees me, actually Liam said something when I was home last, and he was just like he was like talking about how I receive compliments well. He says, he was like, you really like feel them, and it makes you light up. And I sat with that, and I know why I get like that when I receive compliments. It's because you see me, because you're seeing me, and it feels good to be seen. It feels good to be understood. So, and that's that lonely bit. It's like, Robin Williams did a quote. This is really, really what I wanted to say on the podcast for this episode. Robin Williams said a quote, and it was like, I'm going to misquote it, but the gist of it is that he thought that being alone would be the worst thing of his life. But being around people that you know and love, who don't know you, who don't understand you, that's what feels lonely. You know, we can be in a room with friends, family, and, you know, they don't see you. Maybe they see you as a version of yourself when you were fucking 14 years old, emotionally fueled, uncertain, and people are still latching on to that's that person that you are. Maybe it's when you were 20 and you were struggling with X, Y, and Z. Maybe that's the version that they're holding on to, and they don't actually see who you are in this present moment. That's what's lonely. That's what hits me. So being highly sensitive, it's like, and like, so like that misunderstanding, that being highly sensitive, like that people don't always get me, that feels lonely for myself.
Yeah. And you know, when you say that, like when you're saying this, like that little sliver of loneliness, I wonder how many generations deep that goes.
Interesting.
Like how deep, because I mean, think about like how many people have probably felt that. Like even if you go back just like a couple generations, like I think of maybe just like, you know, obvious ones for us, maybe the witch tribe, you know, any ancestry that existed during that time, or like, yeah, I mean, I guess like it's just interesting to think how deep is that wound. And I think of that because I think of a couple of things. Like I'm jumping to like, how do we like help this? Like there's like, you know, my mind is like, okay, how do I fix this? Like
solution
how do we
based.
fix this? And so one thing I was thinking was like with homeopathy, like you can do ancestral remedies and like a mega potency that will like clear sadness or like, you know, maybe loneliness or like how deep is that, you know, how deep is that wound? How deep is that crevice, like of feeling misunderstood or like not understood? Because I'm sure it's been happening for a long time. Like, I mean, yeah, like
and in general, I think, you know, I think if people were really honest with themselves, we've all felt lonely.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
all felt, like we all have
yeah.
some story of being misunderstood or feeling rejected or feeling abandoned. We all have these core wounds, but like what really kind of sparks or triggers you in these moments, like, when we talk about loneliness, can you bring yourself to a time that maybe you were, around so many people, but just felt so alone? And people think that, being alone, I shared, I shared that in the summer because I was like, I was feeling lonely and I like to share these things, and people did reach out and were like, I feel alone too. And I was like, again, it's just to show you, and vulnerability. I was watching something with Peter Crone the other day, and they were just talking about like being lonely and how, oh my God, brain fart. Whenever I do that, I always, I'm like, all right, Courtney, add this one in. And then I'm like, yeah, your brain is mush now. But fuck, it's gone. Yeah, Peter Crone, one of my favorites. I saved the video, so I'll just go back and I'll tell you after. But yeah, but being alone, it's like, yeah, we can all experience these things. And being vulnerable was about being vulnerable and being transparent. Transparent is just like, you can be like, I'm having an off day. But being vulnerable is like, I'm having an off day because I'm annoyed with society and capitalism, and I'm annoyed with, like being really vulnerable. And when we are really vulnerable, it allows other people to feel safe to be vulnerable in that aspect.
Yeah, I'd say vulnerability as far as like saying the things that people may not want to hear, but you're going to say them anyways. Like, if, like saying, you could say, I'm feeling really off today. And you could totally make up like, I
didn't sleep.
I didn't sleep. Yeah. My coffee wasn't made right. Like I woke up on the wrong bed, but like to really dive into those things that like people don't want to hear about is, I'd say like it's a vulnerability in like a very brave kind of way, like where you just have this braveness of just saying the things that you're like, I don't know if anybody's going to want to hear this, but
how it's going to be received. Yeah. 100%.
So that's really cool. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on about the loneliness too, that I wonder, because, you mentioned that like, I might not know loneliness in the way that you know it with like, because I'm in a partnership. And one thing I like think about though, is like for us that are like, have connected with our guides, have connected with, beings that exist all around us, or have connected with our higher selves or something bigger than us. Like, do you not feel like it's so interesting? Like, I just kind of want to like chat this out. Like, we're never alone. Mm-hmm. Like in the ethereal sense, in the sense of like, not this. So like in the 3D, human realm, like loneliness is its own thing of separation, of isolation, of physically being by yourself, but like in that moment of literally like being physically by yourself, let's say, or maybe being disconnected from everybody in the room. Like if you are tapped into like those beings that are always with you, or those little messages that are always around you, that like you're tuned into the world, or, like, are you alone? Like, are we alone?
Yeah. But
does like, that soothe that
that doesn't soothe me in the sense of like, yeah, I mean, we are in this 3D. I think the 5D is wicked, and I do fucking love it, and I get super jazzed on all the connections. And like, no, yeah, we're not, there's things always around, but okay, bring yourself back to you saying earlier, the human experience.
Yeah.
And let's tap into, I think the difference between when you have a partner, when I was in partnership with Liam, and if I only saw my friends once in a blue moon, that was fine for me because I had Liam, and me and him were just fucking doing our thing, like having fun. And, that was enough. So what I meant by you, just with us talking in general, it's like when you do have a partnership, you do have that person in that mundane, in that day-to-day things. So I would be interested to see a hypothetical of you not being in partnership, because there is a difference for sure when I am, like, I am not afraid to go to a bar by myself. I am not afraid to go dance by myself. I am not afraid to do all these things in solitude. I do a lot of things in solitude.
Mhm.
Do I think that what is the pendulum swinging? Do I think sometimes I spend a lot of my time in solitude? Yeah, I do.
Mhm.
And I think that the difference is, like, when you have that partner, you have a partner, and it's nice to be able to share those things, life and partnership and experience and adventure and doing nothing, like Liam and I could just be chilling and literally doing nothing. He could be there, I could be here. And it was just like, yeah, that was enough. So do I think that, like, the 5D, yeah, I fucking love that shit. I love connecting, doing my divination. I love all those things, but bring it back to the 3D world.
Yeah.
And I think that I want more than just the ethereal. I want more than just the 5D.
Yeah.
I'm here on this life to experience the full capacity of life, of the 3D, of the emotional experience, while tapping into these beautiful fucking gifts, these beautiful messages, which is why I'm like, okay, I'm lonely. Okay, there's a reason. Oh, I'm angry. Okay, there's a lesson. Like, that's where my brain goes. My brain does think very 5D, but also I'm in a 3D body. I'm in a 3D realm where I am going to experience suffering. I am going to experience heartache. I am going to feel a chapter in my life where there's this loneliness. And, like, what I want to just reflect 1 second back on, like, how I said, like, I've spent a lot of my life alone.
Yeah.
I've always been I'm very much an introverted, extroverted person. Like, I can thrive with people. But I can thrive on my own. Like, I do things on my own. It's how I've always been. I've got my pockets of friends. I've got, like, my singular friends. I've got friends all over in different places of the world. But it's like, a lot of the times it's me and my solitude. And, so I'm curious. It's definitely a major theme in my life. And it's not a theme that I've truly understood yet and wondered, like, so I show up and I sign up. I do the things that scare me. Like, if I was, last year I was feeling lonely. Typically, anytime I leave Newfoundland, I get quite sad and lonely. And so that's another little segue too, is that, like, I truly believe my heart and soul is in Newfoundland. Whenever I go home, my cup feels so freaking full, and I just love it there. So I just really feel like I will be going back. I'm not sure when, but it'll be some point. But it's like, there is a lesson in this. There truly is. And I'll be happy when I figure it out. But I definitely don't stop myself. Like, ways that I've helped my loneliness is pushing myself. So, like, that bit of, like, not being misunderstood. Okay, well, I just am myself. If you don't get me, that's okay. Does my heart hurt sometimes when I don't get got? Yeah, it is. Yeah, there is a part of me, but it's not going to change me from not being myself. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep, because it feels right for me. And I'm a mystery to many. My friend would always be like, "Where the fuck did you come from?" And I'm like, "Came from the universe, dude. I don't know where. I'm interesting for sure." And I don't know. I think I'm just, it's, like I said, it'll be interesting when I really feel and understand this lesson. One thing I have been calling in is just, like, before bed or anytime I'm, like, manifesting, I welcome in a love that wants to give to me. I welcome in a love that wants to give to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm very much a giving person. I very much am somebody that shows up for others. I am really looking forward to allowing myself to fully receive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think for me being a person that's a giver, that is a person that's always there. I think sometimes, again, the pendulum can swing too far, and sometimes I think I can give too much of myself. So I really do look forward to receiving that love from somebody that wants to give it as much as I do.
Mm.
And like allowing myself to really receive it. So yeah, like another thing is just like things I've been doing to help my loneliness is like to push myself, to allow myself that even if this person doesn't get me, I'm not going to stop being myself, because who I am is good. And it's okay if people don't get me. I have to validate myself and also still hold space for the part of me that maybe is grieving. You know, even with your family and friends, the ones that you think should get you the most, sometimes they don't get me or get you. And that can feel lonely and isolating in that, because it's like, it's your blood or it's your close friends and stuff. But to just still show up as yourself, that's really, really important. And to do the walks, to make sure you're eating, to tap into, maybe there's a homeopathic remedy, that there's things that are off balance within that are causing your brain chemistry to think certain ways. So it's really just kind of like holding the space, allowing the feelings. And just like your stepdad, John, he said, you know, when I posted about being lonely, he said, just sit with it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, just sit with that. And so I have been sitting with it. I've been sitting with it, you know, really, really since the summer. And I'm out of my loneliness. Like, I don't feel lonely anymore. Like I said, you know, you can still have some sort of like maybe like annoyance or frustration if somebody doesn't get you. That it's like a person you really wished got you. Again, that can feel a little disappointing, but guess what? We are capable of overcoming disappointment. We are okay with being disappointed. So just show up. Just show up through your meditations, through your journaling, through your baths, through your sleep, through your eating, through your fucking cuddles with your dogs, or your vulnerable moments with friends and family. You know, whatever feels right. I finally found a women's group. I'm really excited for that. It was supposed to be this weekend, but it got canceled. I was like, really excited to connect. I was really excited.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, and then like at the resort, I've been just like hanging out a bit with my coworkers up at the resort, and just really like connecting with them and just letting myself be myself with no reflection of, hey, does this person get me or does this person not get me? You know, like, get me or don't get me. That's okay.
Yeah. It's thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah.
That was really good. That was great. I mean, one thing I'm thinking too in this whole thing is like the beauty, like where's the beauty in the loneliness? You know, because I think that part of the beauty is like having that time to reflect, having that time to be in solitude, like where you're not being asked to do this, or you're not being asked to like show up by somebody's side. You're not being like, your like aura is not being penetrated by somebody else's energy. Like there's value to that, you know, there's like definitely value. Like yesterday on my hike, like walking by myself, I was like, I love this. I love like not having to like keep up with somebody or be upset that somebody's walking so far ahead from me and not waiting for me, or like that I can stop here and I can look at this thing and take a picture of this leaf, and you know what I mean, like be on your own track,
On your own schedule, on
in your
own time, your energy. It does feel good. It does feel good.
Because it's so funny. Being in partnership for that long, for 14 years. I'm like, if I ever like wasn't for whatever reason with Jonah, like I would be so single for so long, because I just would crave that like
getting to know, you would get to know yourself.
Right, you do. That's what, like, that's another part of that beauty that's laced in the loneliness is like, yeah, you are like on a level with yourself that like isn't adulterated by other people and other someone else's influence. And I feel like I've been on that track for a long time, like even since high school, like because I've been in a relationship since I was like 15, you know, like 15 years old. Like I had a serious boyfriend then who really like had a lot of influence, like through his mother, more than anybody on me, like trying to be somebody for her, like, you know, to be approved of. So like that was a head trip. And so I relate to you when you're like, I did for a long time, like didn't know how to show up as myself, you know, like I fully like, yeah, I fully get that. Like that is, it's very confusing to have somebody else influencing you, especially if you don't have a strong foundation of who you are at fucking 15. Like you definitely don't have, you know, the strongest foundation. You know who you are, but you don't have that foundation to stand in it maybe that strongly yet, like I do now, where I'm like, fuck it all, you know, this is who we are.
100%. But think about, you know, people also in our age bracket that still are masking, you know, like maybe a coin on their loneliness can be like they're masking to be something they're not, and how lonely it feels to not be yourself. Because, you know, there's so much people pleasing that still happens in this day in society. I mean, like, there's so much core wounding that is in adult bodies that people are not tuning in to themselves, to their wounds, to their triggers, and are projecting this shit out onto people, places, and things. And it's like, you know, tangent, core wounds, just like the fact of, so like, you know, let's just say someone is in a sad mood, and maybe, you know, like, this is something I did back in the day. It's like when I knew somebody was upset, I would be like, oh, well, I would really try and make sure they're okay and step in here and step in there. And that's codependency, is what that is. And then I started to learn as I did this inner work, oh, they can sit in their own emotions. That's not my job to fix. I think too, with my energy, you know, people do feel good because I see them and stuff, and I'm able to like hone in and all this shit. And it's like, you know, one thing I like my solitude is like that I am in my own energy. I don't have to be in anybody's energy. I don't have to like show up for anybody else. And so that's like a thing I've been doing is like, I don't need to change. I don't need to help you. I don't need to fix your upsetness. I don't need to fix your thing. That's on you. And I can limit and boundary myself that if this is like the energy that you're wanting of me, well, I'm not going to be that person for you. You know, I can empathetically hold space and say, oh, okay, this person is having a bit of a rough day, so I'm just going to let them do their thing. That's being empathetic. Codependent would be me trying to go in and make their mood better and not let them sit with their own discomfort. That's a little tangent, but it was,
and definitely another episode on another day. I'd love to go into that.
Yeah, because it's all, I mean, and that's the thing with this, it's all very layered. And the point is just to like, to see yourself on your journey for fucking wherever it is that you are. And like, yeah, maybe at first when I was really feeling the lonely feels, I was like, fuck, this feels gripping. This feels hot. Like I feel exhausted. So I sat with it, like John really said. And then it passed because I worked through things and, you know, transmuting. It's like, okay, like I said, going and being around people and not feeling like I need to shift or change and just show up as me. And then if they don't get me, they don't get me, and that's okay. And then like, you know, for me, it's always been meditating, it's been walking, it's been journaling that really allows me to work through and process. And by doing those things, I realized, I was like, okay, I'm lonely. What am I lonely for? And so I realized my loneliness was a touch of like misunderstanding, being misunderstood. So a bit of a rejection wound. And so I decided, okay, well, how can I help myself? Because I am so solutions based. And then I was like, well, go find your people, go find the things that make you feel fulfilled. And for me, it really has been just kind of like really just like sitting in that misunderstanding, sitting in that misunderstood. That, yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Collecting Consciousness.
We're so grateful that you've been on this journey with us so far.
And we look forward to seeing where we are going to expand, curate, and collect.
So if you haven't already liked, subscribed, or shared our content, and you feel called to do so, we would so deeply appreciate it. From our souls to your soul, and our hearts to your minds. We are collecting consciousness.
The misunderstanding. That's what's been big for me. And gotta say, like I still am excited. I'm excited to see, because I've been on dating apps, and I don't enjoy the dating apps. It's I've tried it for like the last year, and it's not my cup of tea. But I also feel like, hey, that was fun going out on these dates with people and just connecting and doing the damn thing. But I'm also like, I'm okay just to kind of sit and wait and not, this is a journey.
Yeah.
I'm feeling these things, so I don't need to be like over my loneliness right a fucking way. I can sit with this loneliness for however long it takes.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I do look forward to that connection that comes through in my life that is going to is going to be a part in my journey, that wants to show up with me, that I want to show up with them. So it's a bit like there's excitement there, and knowing that I can, two truths can be true at once, is that I can get through anything. And if I just sit and be with it, then I will learn the lesson. I will overcome. And I'm a fucking little badass little bitch who just wants to fucking deep dive and feel. I mean, like, Jesus Christ, do you remember when I hung out with you?
My God.
At fucking Dark Star, and I was like, all I want to talk about is fucking spirituality and fucking. No, I'm here for the deep dive of the journey. So this was just a portion. This is just a portion of who I am and what goes on in my psyche, and how I try to work through these things and hold space for these things. So yeah,
I love it.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, well, I think it's a cool thing to talk about. And you're not the first person that I've heard in my life that I know that's single, that's talked about like being lonely and just feeling alone. And, someone else that I'm thinking about that has this like experiences loneliness is for the same reason. So there's that common thread of like being misunderstood. And then also,
those core wounds for sure.
Yeah. And even if you have people in your space, like this one person I'm thinking about has like children, like, so she's not alone, like physically, like not,
for sure.
Physically you have other humans, but it can feel really lonely when, I guess, especially children, but even if you have a partner that you feel like you're discontented with, or disconnected from, like, that's also very lonely. And it is a big mirror of like, you feel like you're on an island when you're surrounded by people. And so it's a common, I'd say, like, it's a common human experience. Yeah.
Thread.
Even though we are all surrounded by other humans, and there's people, like, I'm in a hotel, I could go down and find some humans right now, but like, having that deeper sense of belonging and people seeing you is like it's important, a valued thing on a deep level.
Yeah. And truly, like, people feeling seen, heard, and valued, that really is fulfilling. It is. And it's fulfilling when you know yourself too, and when you know like your triggers, know when to hold back, when to go forward. Knowing yourself is important. And I do just want to touch on that of like disconnected partnerships, disconnected friendships. Like if we aren't showing up with honesty and integrity and a willingness to understand people, there can be so many disconnected relationships in life. And it's a sad thing when you do blatantly see that this person shouldn't be in a relationship with that person because they're just like really fueling X, Y, and Z. And it's like, it does, like, it's a lonely, isolating island when even the closest people, you're not on the same page anymore. So you're doing yourself a disservice by staying in these relationships, these friendships that aren't really real. Like, we are meant to grow and evolve in this lifetime. We are meant to let go of people, places, and things. And sometimes we're so scared that we hold on to these things. And for what? Mm-hmm. For you to stay people pleasing and discomfort, it's funny how people will sit in discomfort within themselves, but will try and help others out of their discomfort. Like if you're like dimming your light, I used to dim my light so much back in the day, and because I knew I was a big energy, and man, I feel sad. I can still see myself spelting my heart out at McDonald's after a drunk night, and my friend was like really hating it, and I was just like, and I'd stop. I dim myself. And like that's just a simple thing, but something that sat with me fucking 13 years later. Wow. That I can, that it's just like when we do mask and keep people in our lives that don't really deserve to be in your life. Mm-hmm. Because you're not aligned. You're not the same fucking vibration. Mm-hmm. I saw a thing and it was like, attract, don't chase. Like, just attract your vibration. Attract. And I mean, that can get very layered too, because like, let's just say you are, got some really unhealthy coping mechanisms for life, then you're going to attract more of that. So you have to like be aware of that subconscious, be aware of your patterns, be aware of your triggers, be aware of these things, so that, okay, you want to attract this person. Okay, well, like, let's tap into that vibration, that feeling, mm-hmm. and start seeing what'll come.
Yeah. Don't just attract everything and anything. Cause you're still, then that's, I would say attract that which appreciates you. And you appreciate it. Like, there has to be a deep appreciation, I think, for whatever energy or human is in your life. If there's no appreciation, then I feel like that's where that like sense of loneliness can creep in, or that sense of like,
definitely,
this isn't really serving me because this person doesn't appreciate me. I've definitely had relationships like that. That have just dwindled away. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes people hold on to those relationships, and then sometimes, like you said, they dwindle away, they fade away. And it's so okay to let those ones go, because, hey, that person is going to go find something that's more aligned for them, and you are going to find what's more aligned for you.
And are you keeping that relationship because you're fearful of the loneliness? Like, right.
Oh, yeah.
Like the motivation for surrounding yourself with people, like just to surround yourself with humans, to not feel alone. That's something that if you're like listening to that and that pings you, like, then maybe sit with that and just say, okay, like, who needs to go and who am I holding on to? And maybe it's everybody. Like, who knows? I don't know. Maybe you created
that was a good little layer.
Yeah, maybe you've created all these relationships in your life out of fear of being lonely, and then what does it look like to let them all go? Yeah. Anyways, it could be could be big, could be big, could be like one or two,
could be small, and that's why it's like sit with these things and see these things, see these parts of yourselves, and maybe it brings you back to your childhood, maybe it brings you back to an experience of just 2 years ago. Literally, if you just hold the space, then you'll see the answers. And maybe the answer's not today, maybe it's not tomorrow, maybe it's a little bit down the road. But if you give yourself that time, consistency, and energetic like love for oneself, then we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it all out.
Beautiful. That was a good
Cool.
little on top.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. Do you want to add anything else about it? You have anything else to share?
The only thing I would like to add is I was, Bethany, when we first got on the phone call, she's like, "How you doing?" And I was like, I'm feeling annoyed and feeling this. And she's like, "Well, we don't have to do the podcast today." I said, no, I want to do it because like, I want to push through something that it creates a discomfort. Like I was feeling not great, and I still wanted to do the damn thing, and I wanted to show up even in the discomfort.
How do you feel now?
I feel great. No, I do. I mean, to be honest, I'm like, I'm just happy that I did have a space to share, a space to hold, like a space just to be. Because again, like, I don't like tapping into victim mentality, like, woe is me, woe is what, I don't. It's not something I like to do. And, but I want to know, like, I just want to express that two truths can be true at once. That, you can feel, there can be a part of your heart that feels disconnected. And then there could be parts of your heart that feel so connected. It's like we are diamonds. We are multifaceted. And there are so many truths at once. So I can feel a sort of way, but I can still, see a different light, see a different perspective, see a different, scope of the coin. So I just wanted to sit in this discomfort and create a space for me to just express myself. And I do, and that's like another thing is, if you're not emotionally dumping on people, and that's another layered topic, but it's like when you have people, places, and things, friends or family that, you feel supported and loved by, that they can hold the space for you in those times of your frustration or your sadness or your anger or your loneliness. And maybe if you're not just wanting to vent, maybe your friend, your family, your loved ones has a perspective that you need to hear that can help you shift and grow. So if you're coming in with an open space, Bethany could come in and be like, "Oh, I have this tip for you. I could have this tip." And if I was not wanting to if I just wanted to vent and just vent, then I would be like, "Oh, Bethany, get that out of here. No, I don't like this. I want to sit in this. I want to stew in it. I want to blah, 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 blah." But, when we have those opportunities of space, we can also see a different scope of the coin and find a light out of the tunnel. So lean on your support when you're feeling down. Lean on your support when you're feeling up. Lean on your support for connection. Connection is important. And, they say that they do say that loneliness is like a silent killer. So if you are feeling sorts of ways within you, reach out to us, reach out to, again, a loved one, a family member, whatever, your dog, cuddle your dog, the science of just like physical touch. Maybe you need a really nice hug, or maybe you need to go get a massage. Just like there are many different sides to it, rather than sitting in it and stewing and kind of just like dampening that spirit, really kind of allow the space for it to feel, and then see if you can find a way out of the tunnel.
Love that. Hug a tree. It's like hugging yourself.
Yeah.
As Ram Dass said.
That was Ram. Cool. I thought that was original. I was like, damn, we need to write a letter.
That was Ram Dass. Cool. Hug a tree. It's like hugging yourself, and it really is. It's like if you need a hug, like really go find a tree and hug it. It's like it will hug you back. Yeah.
The strength. Fuck yeah.
The energy.
Well, yeah, that, that, like you said, that ethereal, but also that's like 3D as well. I mean, physical, but like, it's physical, and it's it's deep though. It's ancient. It's ancient practice, ancient tools. Yeah, thanks so much for holding the space. I like that you called it in. And I was thinking you're going to come in with a definition of loneliness because you like the etymology of things. You're like, no, I'm just here to hold the space, here to hold the space.
Hold the space and learn and, hear a perspective that I don't know that deeply, because I don't know loneliness like that. Like, you know what I mean? Have I felt alone though, in the sense of being misunderstood? Yes. But it's interesting. I don't know if it's because I don't feel it because I'm not coupled with being physically alone in my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if I went to my home space and I was physically alone and then I was out with others and not being seen, like I want to be seen, like if it would feel weird, like I definitely know that people don't get me, but I almost just don't really, it doesn't really sit with me in a way like that. But like, I wonder if I didn't have that physical acceptance of somebody else in my space, like if it would feel more
different.
Like magnitude. Have more magnitude in myself. I don't know. But anyways, I hope that this lands for whoever needs to hear it in their hearts, and you don't feel alone, and you're like, wow, yeah, okay, cool. I'm not the only one that is thinking these things or going through this experience. And, remember, we're human and we are experiencing this 3D reality. And, it's very real. I mean, all these things are very real. Like you said, there's always like two truths. I like that. Two truths that can exist at once. Like I can feel super alone. I can also feel super connected to those other beings, those other spirits, like whatever, my ancestors, whoever, but I can also be really alone in this physical realm. And so, I think that was a really good golden nugget. There can be, there would be two truths.
Two truths.
I like that.
Two truths at once for sure. Yeah, I feel it, it can be used in so many different aspects of the journey. And so hold space for you for wherever you are at on the journey, guys. And until next time, we are collecting consciousness, raise the vibration, raise the connectedness, raise the clarity. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, and be sure to follow along on the journey for many nuggets of wisdom along the way.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.